Welcome to Landria Anka on YouTube, here to help you break through fears and live an awesome life. I don't know why I'm laughing, I just do that. You know I do that sometimes. I laugh because this is just like this play that we're in, and we spend so much time trying to break out of this dense garbage that we don't want to live, that we keep living, and then we spend all this time and sometimes money trying to figure out how not to live the life we don't want to live. And we're in total control. We're in control. I call it the insane planet. You know, other beings have got to be going, oh, jeez. You know, the bummer is that we knew all this on the other side. And I know we're all going, oh, piece of cake. I've been murdered before, I've been broke, I've been rich, I've been sad, we've done it all, right? On some level. And you go, how bad could it be? I'm going to go down there and help raise the frequency of the planet because it's time for us to stop acting like idiots on the insane planet. And then you come down here and you forget everything. And you forget that you're going to forget everything when you get down here, and you think you're just going to be this wise being. And you forget that the density of this planet, of this body, and the lower frequency that we're on is very difficult to break through. But it can be done. So I want to talk today about acceptance. Ugh, nobody wants to accept anything. Well, I don't really accept things in the big picture of things. I don't accept certain things and I just don't do anything about them. I accept situations and sometimes I don't like them, but when you accept things, you will find peace. All right, so, and people like Eckhart Tolle have talked about this, Buddha, everybody's talked about this, and that is the present moment is really accepting that things are the way they are right now. Everything that came up to this point were steps and choices. Yeah, they were yours. I know you guys like battle this. I get these arguments all the time. Choices and life is bad and I've suffered and there's, yeah, so have I. We all have, okay? Get in line. The bottom line is your suffering is not worse than somebody else's. You're just choosing to suffer. Are you done with suffering? You know how you get done with suffering? You start to accept the fact that you don't have to battle the current moment anymore. And then instead of suffering, you'll just feel maybe some pain, emotions. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with that because we're human. We're still going to go through that. But suffering happens when you battle with that, when you say it shouldn't be this way. Somebody was sharing their story. It's a very sad story about their cat, and that this animal went through this agony. But the assumption was that animal was not okay with that moment. I think they're so way beyond us. They have an acceptance that we don't. Maybe the cat suffered. We don't know. We don't know for sure. We don't know when the soul starts to leave the body so that it's really detaching from that actual deep pain. We don't know, right? I think I shared with you, I was with my dad and he was on life support. And I knew that man was in that room with us. And I knew that he was attached to that body. And I knew he wasn't feeling anything. I knew that he was disconnected from that body. So we don't know. We don't have those answers. Suffering comes when we worry about that stuff. Did they suffer? Yeah, my little doggy, he was really bad toward the end. He was really bad. I think I told you, he died in my arms. I got to bring him home and have those last moments with him. And I was celebrating the fact that little dog was now released from his pain. But this is part of the experience of being on this planet. And there's no acceptance with that. There's no acceptance with pain, death, illness. And when we become okay with this and accept the fact that we we have participated and chosen these paths, and that everything up to that point led to this learning experience. It's an experience. If you accept it, you can release it. I'm not saying this is all joyful stuff. It's really tough being here. It's really difficult to be on this planet, but you signed up for it. Nobody threw you out of the abyss into this reality. It just doesn't happen that way. This is an intelligent universe, all of it, beyond our intelligent brains in these dense human bodies. Is like, we don't even use a fraction of our brain or our DNA. Our capabilities are so way beyond what we're using, and we're not using them because we're so hung up on what shouldn't be, this hurts, I don't like it, and we battle everything. Acceptance, even in the worst of times, will free you. And if you sit there and say that I haven't experienced it, and by the way, anybody who's out there making assumptions about me, you don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know how I think or feel. You don't know how anybody thinks or feels. Even if they say something to you, that may not be really what's going on with them. You don't know anybody. Make no assumptions. I have been in your shoes many times. Many times. So I'm not talking, people think that I got, this is all going on. I worked for it. I pulled myself out of situations. I learned how to accept things. I learned how to bypass suffering. I learned how to not battle fear, but look at it and watch it and not let it destroy me and use it to create something better. It's all just using this energy. That's all we're doing. It's all going to be there. You're not going to bypass this until you start to go to higher dimensions. And you can't go to higher dimensions until you accept what is here, release the suffering, be okay with the fact that stuff's going on. Animals get sick. We have to go through this stuff with them. Did you learn anything from that? Did you experience anything beautiful from it? Including the fact that this is what it feels like to lose somebody or something you love. And experiencing that. Because it's unique to be human. Not all species out there get to experience emotions like we do. Because they're not screwed up like we are. Those emotions are the very things that we allow to work against us. We don't find beauty in all of the things that go on that could make us better people. So can you sit right now with whatever it is you're experiencing that you don't like and accept it and say, okay, it is here. It is what is right now. Me battling it or not being happy with it or suffering or having these conversations. My God, we can debate. I don't want to debate anybody. Your reality is your reality. I respect that. It is true. It's true for you. Mine's different. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm here to give you tools to break through all of this suffering and all this garbage that is keeping you down here where you don't want to be. Because it's time to go up. It's time to raise that frequency. This planet is poised for it. There's stuff going on right now, all aligning for us. And it's so powerful, and you can tap into it because that's what you are. You are pure energy. And it's time to let go of suffering and accept everything. And when you do that, it has no power. All the bad stuff has no power because when you fight something, you're saying, this is bad. I don't want this. It's the focus of everything. It's the message to the universe. Bad, suffering, upset. You're not focused on all the other stuff like gratitude. Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it? How can you feel grateful when, you're really in a bad situation? Get on your knees and just say, thank you because I'm healthy. Or thank you because I can pay my bills. Or thank you, I have great friends. Or thank you, I have great family. Thank you, I have a dog, unconditional love. Well, now I have a cat. A stray cat. He adopted me. I didn't even like cats. See, that's another thing. I'm a dog person, whatever. I find out, you know what? I just love everything. I love little animals. And he's the cutest little thing. You know what? There's an acceptance of that you are unlimited. Accept the situation you're in and say, why am I here and how can I change it? But I am here and I'm not going to suffer. I'm going to use this and say, is this a pattern? Is this a pattern that I have? Do I keep getting myself in this situation? Or do I keep thinking of myself as this kind of person that suffers? You know, do I keep making bad decisions? There's no coincidence that you're in a bad situation if that's what you're feeling right now. Those were choices along the way. And maybe you were ignorant at the time. Maybe you really didn't know what you were doing. But guess what? Now you do. So accept it. Accept this moment and say, all right, if you have fear, man, I like every once in a while I got to get that in check. If there's a trigger for me, I go, whoa, what was that? Oh, that was fear. That was fear. It's always of stuff that is never going to happen, that in your head you've got going on. Say, where am I right now? What's really going on right now? So acceptance isn't like, oh, you know, I'll never be loved or whatever it is. I have a lot of friends that feel like, you know, that's it for them. They're never going to find somebody. When they come to the acceptance and they say, okay, right now that person's not in my life, but it can happen for me. And I'm going to be okay with that. I'm not going to, you know, freak out about it or whatever. Sure enough, that's when somebody shows up. They're not focused on that false future, the fear. So if you're sitting there, you're feeling that, go, okay, this is fear. This is fear of a future that doesn't exist, can exist, if I bring it into my reality, because every probability is out there, right? But acceptance is saying, okay, all right, feeling depressed today. I'm just going to accept it. Instead of going, I hate this, I don't, and then we all do it. I don't want to feel this way. How do I get out of it? Please, I'm begging to God to change it. You have the ruby slippers on. You can do it right now. Ask for help. They will help. They will never interfere. Higher beings will never interfere with your choice. That would totally negate the whole reason for being here. This is an experience. When do we start accepting it and stop fighting it and arguing and this shouldn't be this way and this and blah, blah, blah? Isn't it, aren't you tired? Aren't you exhausted of fighting that? Being mad at your parents or the situation that you've been in or the abusive spouse or partner? That's not a coincidence. It's part of your journey, part of your learning. Accept that, because when you accept it, that means you just took responsibility. And when you take responsibility, you empower yourself. That means, wait a minute, I'm really in charge. I've been in charge this whole time. Holy cow, that means I'm in charge of my future. That means I'm in charge of my feelings right now. I'm in charge of what I do and don't want in my life. And I'm going to accept where I am right now and be friends with it, because it's going to teach me what I do and don't want and how I can change all of this. Change of it, because I don't want to be in this situation again. I accept it, but I'm going to change it because I accept the fact that I brought myself here and I can bring myself to there. Instead of being the victim, and that's not acceptance. A victim is not accepting anything. A victim is somebody who feels there's an outside power, something outside of them that's doing things. It's not. It's not. Acceptance right now. I'm going to tell you something. I've practiced this. I do not tell you guys anything that I don't practice myself. That course that I've got, that I'm writing, I practice every single one of those. That's why it's taking me so long. I'm actually walking through it and doing it myself. And saying, does this work? You know, how am I feeling when I walk through this? And what's the end goal that I want to take you to? So I sit with this stuff myself. And it loses power. Anything that's negative, it loses power. Because it's just a story in your head. It's something you're telling yourself that's not real. If God is love and He's everything, why would God create all this negativity? God doesn't. We do. We've been given choice. We've been given the ability to experience things on a low frequency. And somehow we got caught up in it and we stayed there. We thought we had all the answers. We got so hung up in this material world, that vibration, that frequency went so low and it blocked out the sun, literally. So now we're here to try and fix that. Raise the vibration. Live a beautiful life. You don't have to fix the world. You just have to work on you. And there's nothing really to fix. Everything is perfect and whole exactly the way it is because it still has choice. But let's be really honest. What is your choice? If you're suffering, you don't want to be there. Accept where you are and say, okay, let's look at that. Fear, let's look at it. All of a sudden, it's sort of like, it's not really fear. I don't know what that is. And you sit with it and you go, okay, I was just a story I was starting to tell myself in my head again. It wasn't really fear. We think of fear as like this thing that, is real. It's not. It's like, it was just the story you started to tell in your head, this programming of all the beliefs that somebody else told you and the ones that you chose to believe, and you bring it forward and you got this whole story in your head and it causes suffering and pain. Oh, there's my train. I love that train. Accepting that you're doing it, accepting that you brought yourself to this place, accepting that there's something really powerful in it, accepting the fact that this could be your turning point if you choose that. Accept the fact that this is a human experience and that we will constantly go through challenges. Accept that you don't have to suffer, that is just a ego mind thing going on that creates a story about the situation. Acceptance is just sitting with it and not creating a story around it. And I guarantee you, we're all doing it. We got the story. Right? We assume all kinds of stuff. 9 times out of 10, we're wrong. Actually, if there's suffering, we're probably wrong all the time. Because the truth is that you can be joyful, you can be whole and beautiful and perfect in the highest frequency. You don't have to suffer anymore. You can accept where you are and pull out of that, because when you accept, you're releasing everything. There's nothing to hang on to anymore. And know this too shall pass. You can pull out of anything. Stop the stories, accept the situation and say, it stops now. I accept where I am, and this is, I'm done being here. I'm going to take the steps to make those changes, which means taking responsibility, accepting the fact that this is life and you do not have to suffer. Accepting that fear is showing up, but you don't have to react to it. Accept that maybe you're in a difficult situation. I accept it. Okay. Let's put my energy into something positive that's going to help me break through this. And accepting it gets you to look at it closer too. You really have to take a good look at it and say, why am I here? Because I'm not going to fight this. I just need to really take a look at why I'm here. And then you make decisions based on that, not out of fear or stories or crying and begging and praying. It's funny. I get a lot of emails of people asking for my help. And I'm thinking, well, I've got, like 800 and plus growing videos that really say the same thing I would say to you if you're on the phone with me. But every once in a while, I actually do reach out to people and help them. And it comes down to the exact same thing. When we talk about what needs to be done to change the situation, Okay, this is where you are. How did you get here? They don't take the action. Nine out of 10 people, they'll talk about it, and they don't. Actually, I don't know if I've had anybody I don't think I've had anybody actually do what it took. Because when they actually have to take the action to get out of that situation, oh, the reality sinks in. They're actually going to have to do some things. They're going to have to do some work. They're going to have to break out of the patterns. They're going to have to break out of the belief systems. They're going to have to break out of the self-limiting things. They're going to have to break out of the fact that they have not been accepting a lot of things. And they're going to have to accept the fact that this is where they are. This is what they've been doing. They've been controlling everything, and now they can change all of that. And then they're like, oh, I didn't expect you to actually talk to me. I said, yeah, okay, let's solve the problem. But only you can do that. So, bottom line is, what are you going to do? Maybe this is part of what you do. You hang on to the suffering. You hang on to, it's great, isn't it? Man, it defines you, gives you your personality, gives you, this is who I am. This is what I believe. I'm this. We say, I'm this and I'm this. And how many times have I said I'm a former investment banker? That gives you a picture of what I was. Maybe I wasn't that at all. Maybe I was not typical investment banker. I wasn't at all, by the way. So we do have a tendency to create these roles for ourselves, right? Yes, we use them for description so we can communicate with each other, but you don't have to be any of those things. That's acceptance too, that you're limitless. You want to accept something? Accept that. I am limitless. I accept it. Thank you. I'm going to start using all of those powers today. I'm sending you light, love, joy, peace, prosperity, acceptance, and then releasing all of those things that create the suffering in the story that you don't need anymore. Namaste.